Also, you are aware that you are not actually showing my happy smiling photo
That
on
that bit
the
was in that bit was intentional.
on the anything. You're currently showing a bit of Teams chat. Matt, we've been sat here for 20 minutes prepping for this. Are you new?
Sorry, who are you?
Good evening, everybody. I'll do the intro, Matt. Don't worry, it's
Yeah,
okay.
you do the intro.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome aboard the good ship, Train Sim Worlds, I think it's called. And we're going to be showing off the DB-BR the 363, which
Yeah.
is just fresh out today.
Oh, yes, the BR363, little shunter. Um, Let me just get going in something so that we've got something happening on the screen, then we can talk about what it actually is.
Yeah,
It comes with a bunch of services. I'll go through these in a bit more. Let's just get in the game, and we'll come back and talk about what it comes with in my services. So we are going to start off in Bull Yard, which is near Hagen in the north end of Ruhr-Sieg. And if I just jump into the map, we are here. Hagen is here. And basically, this group of services is about moving wagons between the logging sidings over here. So we'll be using the Ruse T wagons and the sidings over here. Now, previously, you've only really used these in these couple of formations. You brought train of wagons down and took a train of wagons back, and did that a couple of times. Now we're starting with the 363. We can get into these pieces of the route which were previously inaccessible. So, first bit is this bit over here for Bull at the logging sidings. A little bit later on, then down here, you've got the cement plant. So we'll be using the cement plant, and we'll also be using some of these sidings here. And then further down again, still you've got steelworks at Hohenlimburg. So there's all of this lot gets used in some of the services as well. And then lastly, in some of the services, there is stuff going on with these trains down here. These need changing, not these trains, sorry, these ones. They need coaches swapping out, and they need replacement bits put on them. So you'll be doing some coach shunting. So,
quick question: you can use this if you don't have Ruhr-Sieg Nord. You can still use the Loco in Scenario Planner, right?
No, you need to own Ruhr-Sieg. With any of our Loco DLCs, you need to own the packets for in order for it to activate. Yes, you do.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't know that. I assumed that because it was standalone, you could use it here, there, and who knows where.
That's what we want to get to. But the way that we build the content at the moment, it actually relies on files in the core product at the moment. So we're trying to work out how we can break that separation. So that we can release Loco DLCs as fully standalone. But at this point in time, you need it. You don't need to necessarily use the Ruhr-Sieg route. And yes, you can take the 363 in Scenario Planner and use it anywhere you like. But you must have Ruhr-Sieg for it to appear and become available.
Fine. Right. Well, I know that now. That's good. Okay. Smashing. One of the layers for PS4 from Munich to Augsburg. No details for you on that yet. We'll update when we know. But we've still, I mean, as you've probably seen already, we've already done some work on whatever it's called, optimization. That's the fella. And we've got more to do. We've got more queued up. Right. Hold your questions for a bit. Matt, show us what we're working with and why have you chosen to do it in the dark?
It gets lighter.
Okay.
So this is a new feature that we've got on this Loco. This is called an RK900 coupling. And firstly, you can auto couple by just bringing the Loco and the wagons close together, and they'll auto couple. Well, you can't do that with the sort of the normal couplings in Europe. You've got to hook the coupling over the hook, and then tighten it up, which makes shunting just a pain in the neck, frankly. Because you're constantly in and out of the cab. This thing auto couples to a hook, so it means you don't have to worry about that. So I'm just going to lower these down on both sides. The other benefit of it, let's just climb in here, and when you're climbing,
what's the rated speed at which you can ram stuff? Attempt to couple.
Slow. You want to be doing single figures at the absolute maximum. You should be gently buffering up to things rather than ramming speed.
Yeah.
Right. So when you take over a Loco, even though it's started, it's in its warm state. So the first thing we need to do is get some lights on. each of these 3 switches. We'll get the rear headlights on because we're shunting backwards and forwards, and then this switch here is the main lights for the dash.
Let's have the cab light as well while we're here. Top row, there you go.
Yeah. And then this one is the main master switch that turns the cab on. This one allows us to. So this little control stand here, you've got 2 of them. There's one on each side, and so you need something to say which control stand has control. So you press that button, light comes on. This joystick will now work. And first thing we want to do is go backwards. So
can you hot swap those? So while you're in motion, you can switch sides and jack the controls from the other side.
I've not tried, but yeah, I don't see why not. Because of the way these work, I should explain the throttle in a minute as we get going. But essentially, it works by being centered all the time rather than being in a position. So normally in a lot of locos, you'd put the throttle in the 10% position to get 10% power. This doesn't work like that, so it's always in the middle, which means in theory you can much more easily switch between locos. All you're doing with this joystick is saying more power, less power, essentially, in its 2 positions. So the little arrows here, let me come over here so you can see them better. These little arrows tell you which gear you're in, whether you're forwards or backwards. We'll turn the cab light off. That's my torch, not a cab light. Twit. So you can see the light on there, and if I switch it, you can see it switches back in there. So that's your visual. You're in cab. Yes, you're in cab indicator. Next thing we need to do is the brakes. I'll put these into release. Now the brakes are going to need some explaining. They are really fun, but they need some explaining.
They do. I took this out for a spin earlier on. Hooked up to the wagons, took them out for a jaunt to get them to the next point. Tried to stick the brakes on, nothing happened, so I hammered the brakes on, and it was ace because my wheels locked up and the wagons pushed me along while we gradually slid to a halt. Now, I reckon that's probably not the way you're supposed to do it.
No. And the thing is, this is a relatively light little shunter, and so it's actually, if you lock, it's easy to lock the brakes up on this thing when you've got wagons behind you pushing you along. So it does require a little bit of understanding how the brakes are working, which I'll do as we drive. So first of all, power. We have to get going before we can stop. So the way the power works is you have an idle setting, you have a fill setting. Now you'll notice we're already moving. The throttle, you can see the speed down here has said that we're moving. So I haven't actually applied power. I've just put it in what they call fill. This is a hydraulic system, which means that the motor is spinning, and inside the torque converter or the fluid coupling there is a cavity and nothing there. By filling the coupling, we've now got the oil spinning around, and that's translating the power. So just by applying no power, the idle of the engine, the idle speed of the engine, is just enough to make us go. When you're coupling up to something, you just use fill. You don't apply actual power.
Right.
Next setting on here then is hold, which will just maintain whatever power setting you've got. And then if you put on up, you hear the engine speed up, and then it drops automatically back to hold. So it will hold the RPM that you've got there. So you can see the RPM here. If I drop it back to the fill setting, you can see it drops the RPM back down again, and we stop applying power. So it's like a more power, less power type control. We're actually going fast enough now. So if I drop it back into idle, it'll let the engine disconnect, and we'll just roll the rest of the way.
Again, if folks, if you'd like to hang on to the questions for the moment, we'll answer them, but we'll get some basic demo going first. Otherwise, you won't get much demo, and it will just be questions and answers. So hold your questions for the time being.
Yeah. So we're coming up on where we need to stop. So to put it into stop, so you will have, when you released, you put it into 100%. What I would say is when you're going, put it into brake hold. I'm using the loco brake. Put the brake into 100%, and as we apply it, and you notice when you release it, it drops straight back into hold again. Watch your brake cylinder. You notice the brake cylinder is at 2, and that stops me. Let's wait for it to stop. Right, so if I put it back into release, you'll see the brake cylinder comes off. Put it back into hold, nothing happens. Again, the thing to watch is the brake cylinder. If I put it a little bit up and then release it again, you'll see we got a little bit of braking. Up again, we got a little bit more braking. So you just keep applying, and it keeps springing back. What you're actually operating is that control there, and you can see it swinging back there. This is the lever, the dial that's working. So you can see It goes up, release. Put it back into the release state, and it comes off. So this is
Okay.
how you control.
So that's how you lap the brakes rather than just to give it the full beans.
Yeah, so you just apply it a little bit. So you can give it to 100%, but that's just how fast it applies the brake. This is very much like the BR10, Class 101, sorry, on Northern Transpennine, in that it's effectively manually lapped.
Just a suggestion from the chat there. You might want to turn the cameras off because we're currently sat over the UI.
Okay, that's a good shout. We have just disappeared. Right, do that one more time. You can see by moving the control like that, you got quite confined control. Again, this is the brake cylinder, so this is how much the train is braking.
Yeah.
And so you can control then how much is going on with that. Now,
Okay.
controlling the train brake is again similar but slightly more confusing in that it's manually lapped as well. So that's currently in the driving state. We up in the handle off state, up once more into lap. So nothing's happened. We've just got it in the lap state. At this point, if I move it into the service apply, it will start applying brakes across the entire train. So if we have wagons, it would now be applying their brakes as well. I'll do it in a minute. Once you've got enough, put it back into lap and it will hold where it's got. So if I put it up and then back into lap, you'll see that we applied a bit of brake. We've now got 2 bar in the brake cylinder. If I release or go into driving, it will release the brakes off. Again, you go into lap to start with, and then you go into service apply and back to lap to get a little bit of brake. If you leave it in service apply, you'll get full brakes. You leave it in service apply, eventually all the brakes apply. And then you've got pain to release them later on. So practice with the brakes before you've got coupled to wagons, because it's quicker and easier. And it's quicker and easier to apply and release. Otherwise you're trying to empty and fill brake pipes across the entire train.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Now the other thing is this brake does have a released setting. And this is one of the confusing standard naming conventions on trains. That one. What that does in most trains, and in this one is no exception, is overcharge the brakes. So basically, if you're having problems releasing the brakes, it will pump the brake pipe above where it should be, because sometimes what happens is that wagons can get their brake pipe higher than the normal air pressure, which means that when you try and release the brakes, they actually, because of the way brakes work, it won't actually release them. So you need to use that release setting to do that. But having done that, you now have to wait for it to drop. So don't put it into the release state unless you intend to put it in release state. Driving is what actually means the state you mean to actually release the brakes normally. So I don't know what trouble I've caused myself by doing that, but hey, I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be right. So let's come outside here. Brake cylinder says we've got brakes released, so I can put it in fill, and we can just let the engine push us up to here. I did open the windows, yeah. And again, a little bit of brake cylinder just to stop us on the on there, and then we couple up. Now the other really neat thing about this coupler is it lets you uncouple automatically as well. So let's just get coupled up. And again, when you're coupling up, just use the fill setting, because otherwise you'll find yourself slamming into things, even at a close distance like this. This loco light is quite a fierce accelerator.
We'd like a horn demonstration, please.
Right, we've coupled up. Kind of a wimpy horn.
It is quite weedy.
I can give it a little bit of power and just hold it.
So this swanky coupling system, what's it called?
This is the RK900 is the name of this device here.
Yeah, swanky coupling system. That's
Swanky coupling system, that's the technical
presumably
name.
it is also relatively straightforward to disable as well.
So
if
you just
need
lift
to
it up.
decouple.
To uncouple, you use this button here.
Right.
You can go outside. So this was the benefit of the RK900. I'll do this when we get over there.
Okay.
But essentially, the benefit of the RK900 is I can just flick the switch to uncouple forwards or backwards, depending on which end I'm coupled to, without having to get out of the train. So you can do full shunting backwards and forwards without ever leaving the cab with this thing.
Nifty. What about safety systems? Have we got the PZB and the CIFA at play, or
It's got PZB, it's got CIFA, there's a fuse down here to turn them on somewhere, or a switch. There you go, CIFA breakers in here, there is another one for PZB. Yeah. So yes, you can turn them on, and expect to have an appropriate nightmare of a time because of all of the odd manoeuvres that switchers do. They have to be a little bit more on the ball. The other thing you've got on this, and I can't move it right now because I'm moving, is you've got this giant lever here, the gear selector. What that does is it changes whether you've got high torque at low speed and low torque at high speed, essentially. So do you have lots of pulling power but you can only go up to 30 kilometres an hour, or do you have less pulling power but you can do 60 kilometres an hour? That is the top speed of this loco, 60. It's not a fast boy. As we get under this, so it's another one of these with the connecting rods, but this one actually had an additional wrinkle on the connecting rods in that it's got this extra arm on it. See it under the light in a minute. That proved to be really complicated to actually implement. You see this extra arm that's in here actually gets us a slightly more complicated conrod system than we had previously with the 08, which is just one arm running round and round. Right, let's speed up a bit more now.
Talk to me about the physics of this thing, right? So when you've got an additional rail like that, additional rod, I should say, like that, is that being, in a loosely technical fashion, is that being pulled around by the physics of the rotation you've got going on, or is it just a smooth bit of animation?
In the game, it's animation.
Right.
It's all animation in the game, yeah. 60 kilometres an hour is positively bullet-like compared to an 08. Yes, Wacky.
We've got a couple of people saying that there are problems with the cement mixer scenario. Have you seen that one yet?
The problem? No, I'm not aware of the problem.
Okay, all right. I've seen a couple of comments on it, so we'll keep track of that one. The same goes for Great Western Express and the Scenario Planner. There's some red light issues with that one. That one we do know about already and have already fixed. Unfortunately, the fix came after all of our updates had been submitted. So that will be added pretty soon. So we'll keep you up to date on that one.
So we've arrived at the yard, and now that's it. We've uncoupled, and that's all there is. Uncoupling. It's really straightforward.
Nifty. Crazy. Yes, this loco is only on Ruhr-Sieg Nord. Now, there's a control in the cab that several people have asked about that sounds quite technical. It's a twiddle. The fine control valve. Tell me it does absolutely nothing.
It does absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it does absolutely.
It was one of those ones, because it's quite a prominent control, we set it up when we as interactive control, and then continued trying to work out what it does. And then when we eventually worked out what it does, it's like, no, that's not going to be used, because it's actually it's used in unusual circumstances when these control stands don't work, and you have to go into the engine thing and press buttons and pull levers, and then that uses this as some sort of backup controls or something like this. It was confusing, and basically we came to the conclusion that we wouldn't be using that, but we left the interactive bit in so you can play with it. Because people tell us,
you know already that I am a firm believer in, if there is a button in a cab of a train, I want to be able to push it, even if all it does is go click. So I heartily approve of a lever that just goes backwards a bit and forwards a bit. This works for me. You're showing off your braking control. You're
not with the throttle left on. I tell you.
You could do some absolutely some wicked slides in this. It's rather marvellous.
Yes, you can do some pretty spectacular sliding. Yeah, it works much better if you haven't still got the throttle half applied when you're stopping.
Does this add services to other German routes? No, just Ruhr-Sieg Nord.
Yeah, just Ruhr-Sieg Nord. I'll go through the service list after this. I'm not going to run the entirety of this one. I'll go through the service list and explain it. Because it actually introduces services not just for the 363. It introduces services for the 182 as well. Sorry, 185.2. Right.
The lights are on. Unless you've got some more lights that you can pump up.
No, other than the cab light.
I told you not to drive in the dark. I know you like it moody, but we're not even in golden hour.
That's right. The next one's daytime. But no, the lights on these things are useless, in reality. Lights on trains are generally there to let other people know you're there. They're not there to let you see anything. Which is good, because universally trains utterly fail to be any good for that. Unless you're in America. American trains, they like to let the entire planet know where you are.
Yeah. Someone was asking about a problem with another Deutsche Bahn loco. If you're experiencing a problem of any kind, stick it up on the forums, and we'll investigate it accordingly. We don't have time frames for anything. There are no time frames. Only Zool. We rarely talk about time frames, but we will acknowledge stuff when we're going to fix it and stick it on the roadmap.
Thrashing along at a heady 40 kilometres an hour. This is where I run the blue marker and run a red light.
Is there a service out to the power plant?
There is not a service out to the power plant. I looked at what we could do with the power plant, and it's in an awkward position. Certainly for a little loco like this. This loco would not be hauling trains out there, and it looks like there's junctions that are no longer there that would have been used. Because the power plant, as far as I understand it, is not actually in use anymore. It was decommissioned. And it looks like there's a junction that's been removed. So you can't actually, from Hagen, get to the power plant. You have to come to the power plant the wrong way and then reverse the train in. So, because I wasn't 100% confident about those operations, they sounded wrong, I decided to leave them out. And so it's essentially the service mode for further scenarios focus on the three areas that haven't been used other than that, so the cement plant, steelworks, and the logging area.
What are we doing at the moment? Incidentally, I haven't been paying attention to what you're actually operating here.
So we're in the yard just next to the logging, and this service is about bringing some logs, some empty wagons out of the logging plant. I think it's a paper factory or some sort of service like that. And what we're doing is bringing the empty wagons out, making up a new train, and that's where the extra services come from in service mode. Oh, it looks like we're going to get held up. This is my favourite bit. You'll make up this train, then another train will come and take those wagons and run them somewhere else. And all those extra supporting services exist as playable services as well. So you can be the one that comes and picks up the wagons that I'm making up here and then take them off somewhere. Or in the case of the steel wagons, there's a train that comes up from Finnentrop but drops off steel wagons and then comes and parks up here in this yard and waits till later on in the day. Right. And then goes down and collects the new train that another set of shunting services has built up and brings them back out again. So there's about 13 services dedicated to the shunter, and then about another 9 or 10 which added for the 185.2 in support of things moving in and around because of the shunter. You also run the shunter from Hagen to here, so you get a little bit of mainline running on the shunter to here. You also run the shunter because there's a cement train will come in here and drop off from the main line, and then you need to haul cement wagons up and down this section here to the cement yard, bringing another set of wagons. And again, you're bringing new wagons in, taking old wagons out to make a new train, and then another train will come and take that and carry it on its journey. So you're in and amongst a living system with these wagons.
So what are we waiting for? Some slow old flipping freight train to come through.
So yeah, in order to get past this signal, you've got to cross the main line, and what that suggests is that we have a. There you go. There's a train. There's a freight train coming down on the freight line.
Right.
Looks like that's the only one coming though for the time being. Nope, there's a passenger train coming down as well. So there's the passenger train here. And there's the freight train here. So there's quite long blocks in this section, so you get held up a little bit. And in this, these services around Bull, you're crossing the main line multiple times, which means that there are numerous opportunities to get held up while you're waiting to cross. So you get to see sometimes 3 or 4 trains before you can cross,
Nice.
which is quite nice. But also, it's because it's completely dynamic. If you shunt faster or slower, you may or may not get held up as well. So you can sometimes beat the AI train to get you out, so that you can get across. But the mainline trains obviously have priority rather than your little shunter.
So I know you replicate timetables for passenger services that reasonably replicate the real world where you can. How do you go about choosing what services to add when you're doing kind of yard work for freight?
It's entirely constructed creatively. It's entirely made up. We look at the kind of operation, the kind of facilities there are, and what we try and do some research in terms of looking for photographs of trains, and oh look, there's a cement train running here. Looks like there's this kind of train in the yard. They must haul between here and here, and the general sort of where we see things, and then we'll look at the facilities, and then it's just with shunting stuff. It really is just about trying to create some kind of an interesting experience. That actually uses those areas as realistically as possible. So yeah, like I said, in the first set of services, you bring a shunter out over to here, move stuff out of the logging sidings here out to here, and at some point later in the day another train appears and you get another set of services to bring all the new wagons and put them back in here to replenish them with new material.
Right.
And then you move, having finished logging, you then move down the line and work on the cement factory and do stuff with the new, because the cement wagon is new in this. The UACNS cement wagon is new in this pack. Actually, rather than sit here waiting for this, because we were going to do a bit of each, or a bit of a few different ones, let's have a quick look at the cement wagon.
Okay. I'm just suggesting that you have absolutely no patience.
Actually, I playtested every single one of these services, because I started playtesting the first one, and then I went on to the next one, and before I knew it, I'd done all of them, and the entire day had gone, and I loved it, I have to say. I like shunting, so.
Someone's asking about the BR Heavy Freight Pack, which obviously goes with Northern Transpennine. It will be our last piece of preserved collection to be released. We held it back so that we had a little bit more time to dedicate to getting the routes out first. But it will be along, and it won't be long.
Yep.
Huh?
You can. You're a poet.
No, not really. I rhymed long with long. I mean, there's very little challenge.
I didn't say you were a good poet.
Will the 146 sounds be fixed at any stage? If you've got feedback on stuff that we've released already, post it on the forums, and we'll look into that. The preservation crew, they exist entirely to tweak and improve stuff that we have released.
Yep. So this is the service set that comes with the shunter. So you've got these ones around Bull. You've got the these ones. These three, are in Hagen and are making and breaking passenger service. We'll do a bit of one of those in a minute as well. Then you've got 2 or 3 on the cement train services, and you've got 4 on the steel train services. So you disassemble 2 trains and reassemble 2 trains with the steel services. And the cement train, it's 1 train, but you've got multiple steps to completing it. So what we'll do is we'll start SH04 and we'll do 10 or 15 minutes of that, so we can have a look at the new wagons and have a look in the cement yard, because no one's been down the cement yard yet. That's new areas.
Okay. Yes, it does include safety systems. It's got PZB and CIFA are available if you enable the fuses, which Matt is not going to do because he's scared.
Right.
Just saying.
Just saying. Yeah.
But it's a good-looking cab, though, isn't it? Isn't it a good-looking cab?
I love it. The artists have done even in the exterior. The
I
lovely
like
bit
a
of
cab that looks like it's been through the ringer a little bit. That's terrific.
there's some lovely weathering on the outside as well. The whole loco looks like it's been around the ringer a few times. Right. Yeah. Whenever you start, don't make the mistake I do and forget to do the RK900 because then you have to back the train up again and it's just tedious. That's better. Do it that way. That's fun.
Yeah, you just need to clonk it on.
A number of times when I was testing it, I forgot to drop that down, and then yeah. Right, put it in forwards.
Do you want to do a bit of fine tuning on your valve trim? I reckon.
Let's fine tune.
Yeah,
that
put it
valve.
about 17, I think, something like
17,
that.
you reckon? Yeah, okay. Let's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
put it on about there. 17. There you go.
Yeah, nice.
There you go. Just to reiterate, it does nothing. Okay. So we need to move forward. Once it's going, I'll hop out and we can have a look at cement wagons. So this is new. This is a new vehicle with the pack. This is the UACNS cement wagon. Oh, hello. Coal train.
Have we got any other services using the cement wagon, or is it just our short little friend here?
Well, so there is a service that actually led by the loco that parks up over here, which you would have played to bring these in the first place. So there are a series of services that are numbered 819 and 2 digits, so 81901 for example. I don't know which one exactly it is, but there is a service, one of the 819 services would have brought the cement wagons in and you would have parked up there, and that's playable. And then later on...
Good business going on here. That's a nice business.
And then you would, later on, after these services have all finished and there's a new cement train sitting in here ready to go, I think it's this train will actually be the one that then runs around it to go and pick up them and take them back where they need to go. So, yes, you will be hauling cement wagons on main line.
Why does it say Netherlands Utrecht on the side? Does it?
It does. Yeah.
So it does. Okay. Country of manufacture?
I don't know. I'd have to ask the team where that came from. It was probably on the reference model. Which wasn't in the Netherlands. The reference model was...
That's because Railion is registered in the Netherlands. Fair enough. There we go. Nice.
Right, put it in reverse. Now, one of the things to remember is with these scenarios, when you're coupling up to wagons, you'll need to tab through signals because you need to get dispatcher permission to go through a signal into a yard. Come on then.
So, what Train Boy asked a fun one actually is if you're early. So if you manage to completely nail all your tasks and you are at or ahead of schedule, will it hose the routes of other trains that are passing through?
No, it'll always. It should never let you get in the way of other trains. It's like I'm early with this reversing move, but it won't let me out because it's waiting for that train to get out of my way.
You're still waiting for that one to come through.
Yeah, that's why it's failed the tab. Is because it was waiting for that one to get out of the way.
Right.
If I'd been even faster and got to the point that I'd wanted to get through before it had made its request, then I would have been given the right, and it would have had to wait for me. Train SimWorld's dispatcher is dynamic. It's the same as with the shunting moves. If you like at the first set of shunting moves we did there on the Bull Yard, if I'd got a bit faster or a lot faster and completed that first move a fair bit quicker, then I would have probably got out in front of those trains and been able to just run straight over to the other side. But because I took a bit longer to do it, I got held up waiting for those ones to go through. So you can, if you play it differently, you should see it play different. You should see it come out differently.
Mahmood, what's your question? I didn't see a question. Sorry, if it looked like we ducked a question, that wasn't the intention. What was the question?
the light.
Why are the double... I see this as tube fan. Why are the double ICE services not playable on timetable mode? You have to spawn on foot. Don't know. Matt?
There's only one double ICE service, and it should be playable.
Okay, so it should be playable.
So if you have details
not,
of a problem, shout.
Get in touch. Is the loading of logs animated? I doubt it.
You don't load and unload the freight. You're just
Right.
moving the freight into position, essentially.
Are you giving a free code during the stream? Are you clearly unaware? We are Dovetail Games. If you want free codes, you are barking up the wrong tree. Next. Why is the signal showing red and white at the same time? That's a good one.
Yeah, there's no good reason for that. That's in it. That's a bug that will be on Preserve Crew to have a look at.
Oh, I thought you were about to go into some details of exactly what the German signalling system is.
I could have tried, but I would have been wrong on making it up.
Can we get a snapshot view of some auto coupling? Camera controls, camera controls, camera controls. There we go. Does radio control technology work?
No. No, it doesn't. It's something on our long-term wish list we'd like to do. We thought we'd model the radio control in the cab just to wind everyone up. So this is the radio control radio control, and the idea is in reality they can take this, wander outside, and remote control the train, which sounds like
nice.
Tremendous fun. But so this is where the remote coupler can't help you, unfortunately, when you want to uncouple midway down the train.
Okay.
You got to do that the old-fashioned way. How are the air pipes all coupled automatically? They're not in reality. In reality, they either do it themselves or they don't bother.
There's a line to be drawn by between absolute simulation of everything and the ability to keep it enjoyable for as many people as possible. Now, I mean, where that line is for the individual is going to vary. Jer Sharp, if you say again, the preserved Great Western is very choppy, and the sound on the Turbo Star, the AWS sounds are shocking. Go ahead. You don't seem to have a question. That seems to be more of a statement. If you want to give us some feedback, the best place to do so is over on the forums so that we can track it and log it. This is not the best place for it. We'll try and answer questions as they come up, but frankly, just repeating the same statement over and over again isn't going to get you anywhere. Bung it over on the forums and try and be as descriptive as possible, and that way we can investigate it further. Are these new tank cars? Yes, they are.
They are. They're UACNS cement tank cars.
Another dab of horn, please. Have they got any special functionality to them, or are they just shiny?
I believe they have been kitted out so that you can climb on top and open them, but I don't know how. We haven't, because the loader in this is quite an old loader in this route. It doesn't actually have, the cement factory doesn't actually have a working loader in it, but we have prepped these wagons so that we can do cement loading in the future with these at the top. But no, so at the moment they're not interactive.
Okay. Can you access the cement cars without buying the 363?
They are part of the 363 pack, so the answer would be no.
Right. Loving GWE, the new sounds are brilliant. There are no new sounds on Great Western Express. What we have done though is remixed them, so the sounds are the sounds, but they've been remixed now.
Yes, full credit. The audio team have done a really good job on that.
This loco also operates in München. Are we going to see services there in the future?
Who knows? There are no services there at this time.
Okay. Who knows? That's a bit vague, isn't it? Isn't that a bit vague?
It's incredibly vague.
I think I'll allow you a no plans.
There are no plans.
Right. Okay.
Yes, there are no plans. Oops, I may have braked too much.
Tees Valley has a cement works at Middlesbrough. There you go. That's just a random piece of information for you there.
Excellent. And the Class 31 pack comes with cement wagons.
Are the new wagons being used by the BR155 or other mainline freight services on this route?
Yes, as I explained earlier on, the wagons I'm hauling right now didn't just magically appear at that yard. They were delivered there by a loco, and that's a playable service. And then when you finish all the shunting that goes on, the final train is then picked up by that same train that we saw initially, and is then run down the line towards Finnentrop. So yes, there is mainline operation of these wagons. In fact, all of the trains that you shunt, you make and break, with the exception of the passenger trains, they do form part of a mainline service as well. So there are quite a few new services run by the freight trains on the mainline as well. I'm going to run a bit of one of those in a minute.
Great. How long does it take to put a loco together, typically?
I want to say 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
That's with everybody on the team. There's quite a lot of people that work on a loco, but I would say over the course of time, it's a large chunk is spent on the modelling side of it, and then the art. There's a bunch spent time on the audio, and the setup team obviously have quite a lot of work to do as well. A little loco like this had surprising amount of work on it. Actually, it's no less, if not slightly more, than something like a modern Loco 185. There's only one cab set up, but there's lot of fiddly controls in this one.
One of the most notable differences between the 204 and the 363, they've got very different driving characteristics. For starters,
yeah. And
that's before you get to the fact that when you jump inside the cab, firstly you can find the door in the 363. They haven't hidden it like they have in the 204. But the cab layout is entirely different.
Yeah, this is an older loco. This is a refurbished 363. So this is how they look currently. There is an older style 363, but this is the newer one. The older one didn't even have gauge lights and so forth on it. It's prehistoric.
Is there an undocumented safety system that kicks in if you're going at higher speeds? I've seen a couple of people say that it's auto braked them when they've got to a higher speed.
Yeah, if you exceed 60 something, it slaps the brakes on. And similarly, if you're in shunt mode, so in the gear selector, then above 30 it'll put the brakes on. So yeah, it's supposed to cut the power, but it also applies the brakes. So we've got the team looking into whether that's accurate or not.
Okay, cool. Is there a stream coming up to show off Great West Next Best? I would imagine we'll do one next week. Or I might stick it in the back. I was going to stick Northern Transpennine in the background for the roadmap, but I might do Great West instead. Does it have CIFA? Yes, it does. We're not going to put PZB and CIFA on right now because this is it's just showing it off. I mean, you can put it on if you want to, Matt, but having it stopped is possibly not the best way to show it off, which is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I'm not concentrating enough to be able to use something like this. Plus, I want to show you the outside of the train. And when you could cab signalling systems on, you really need to be driving properly and staying inside and paying attention, which I'm really not doing because I'm showing you beautiful wagons. Well, wagons anyway.
When will we see passenger information boards work for London Paddington to Reading? Maybe never. If it says if it's in planning, or if it turns up on the roadmap, you'll know we're working on it. If the roadmap says something's in planning, how far is the development? Depends entirely on what we're talking about. There are no two things on the roadmap that have the same length of development time. The different segments in the roadmap merely they illustrate what stage of development it's at. Oh, could you show us where the CIFA fuse is?
Yep. All the fuses are down here. So CIFA is there.
Thank you.
Right, we'll just run these into the cement wagon and then we'll do a bit of passenger shunting.
Will there be a layers issue on Xbox or PlayStation?
No.
Not for this one, no.
No.
So what you're seeing here is exactly the same as you'll have no matter what platform. PZB is just a little bit further along on the same fuse board. Oh, you've got to turn the air compressor breaker off. No, you're running a massive risk there.
You like turning air compressors off?
Yeah,
Wow.
every time.
Wow. Remind me not to get on Sam's train, folks.
I don't need it compressed. No, it's not a soda stream. You're welcome.
Blast from the past.
Yeah. Oh, good. Another blast of the horn, please. This, incidentally, this third blast of the horn that we've been requested now, this is why we stick a 10-minute countdown before we start streaming every time, to get as many people in as possible. Otherwise, we end up answering the same questions multiple times. And that's okay. But we'd rather answer more questions than the same questions multiple times. Is there no PZB? Welcome to the stream, Liam. Clearly you've just turned up.
There's PZB.
Yes, there is PZB. We showed it off about 3 minutes ago.
It occurs to me I have no idea how to turn it on, actually. So
Just flick the switch. It's all good.
There's a fuse down there and I can't see it.
What have you done with it?
Don't know. It's there because we had complaints about it when we were beta testing, so it works.
Okay.
But so it becomes apparent that I've not been using PZB. Whoops, guilty.
See, there you go.
So this is a new area of the route.
It's by the front left window.
It's by the front left window, is it? And let me stop the train before I get up and go wandering. And let the train crash into the buffers. So this is actually a new part of the route that, I say new part, this was always here, but you couldn't get to it before because it required diesel trains. And now we have diesel trains, you can now get to this part of the route.
It's on the switch is on the left of the box you were pointing at.
Oh, okay. So I
It's
was in the
under
right
a cover
area.
on the left.
Right.
You need to stand up. It's left of the phone. This is like a finding objects game.
Fuses are a bit like that sometimes.
Will there be a layers issue when TSW2 comes to next-gen consoles? Don't know. Probably not, but don't know. Because it's not out for next-gen consoles yet. In the same way that next-gen consoles aren't out yet.
Where is it?
To the left of the box. No, not the fuse box, the CIFA box. Left of the phone. It's on the left-hand side. It's under a cover.
Oh, look at this!
Oh, that's nifty.
There you go. We have
Right,
officially got the madness going, and now what we're going to do is we're going to officially turn it off again.
Yep. Good. Officially turned on, and
At least someone knows. Good. And so just to remind you, if you want to uncouple, there you go. Amazing stuff. You can actually do it by doing it in the normal way and clicking on the coupler externally, but why would you? This is so much more fun.
Humundo says there's a Great Western Railway problem in Scenario Planner with all the lights at the station are red. We know. We've already done the fix. The fix is done. It just missed the release for this time round, so it will be along presently. There you go. Yeah. Sorry. Good. Why aren't we playing with it, Liam? Because Matt doesn't have full concentration available to him. He's got me in his ear hole for starters, and then you people hurling all manner of comments going on, and it is not going to create for a compelling experience to see Matt stopping a train. Or
it'd be
rather,
funny.
Stopping itself every 20 seconds.
It would probably be quite amusing, but also possibly frustrating if what you want to see is the 363 and not its magical ability to come screeching to a halt.
How many additional services to Ruhr-Sieg Nord come with this miracle?
So let me go back through the services.
Yeah.
Because it's time to look at something else anyway.
Okay.
And I'll also show you the train ones as well. So the train ones, the ones for the 185. So just a reminder on the 363, you've got 13 services which incorporate light engine moves, shunting wagon, logging wagons, shunting and forming passenger trains, moving around cement wagons and breaking up and forming cement trains, and breaking up and making up 2 different steel trains throughout the time. And all of these trains, as I say, with the exception of the passenger ones, there are also matching freight trains on the main lines. If I pick the 185, if you search for 819, it's these services here. So this Ball Logs is the one that delivers logs to Ball. This logs and supplies to Finnentrop. So that train we started making in the very first thing we did today, right. 81904 is the train that takes that train and pushes it somewhere else. So you'll drive that the rest of the route down to Finnentrop. Cement train to Ball Yard, cement train to Finnentrop. Again, those are ones that deliver the cement train to the wagons that we were just messing about with. When we finish with that, 81908 takes that train on to Finnentrop. Then you've got 2 steel trains. These ones are a little bit different, and I'm going to actually start with one of these in a minute after we've done the passenger stuff, because these have a bit of light engine running, and then you go and get the wagons. And then so these are actually a little bit different to the usual. So we'll do those in a minute. But these are all the extra services for the 185, and by extension the 182, the 155, and so forth. You can use those for substitution.
Hashtag my saver Jesus. Which is a special savings account. It says, can you operate the train from outside? No, we talked about this a couple of minutes ago. No, the remote control does not currently work.
You can operate it from the outside using the normal outside controls that you normally use.
You can't jump off and use a little radio control box.
The radio control doesn't work.
Bidding. Alex says, did you know that the signalling on Great Western Railway and Scenario Planner is broken with always red lights? Yes, Alex, we did. We've also talked about this a couple of times. Friends, look, I've got to level with you here. If you could turn up for the start of the stream, it really would help us out in terms of not having to answer the same question a few times. We are aware of it. There is a fix being done, or been done. In fact, we're just waiting to deploy it. Don't have an ETA for it yet.
Right, should be enough.
And we get that not everyone can turn up for the start of the stream. But I tell you what, rest of chat, if I've answered it already, drop the answer in. If someone asks a question that's already been answered, that would be jolly helpful. Thank you. We think you're all lovely. Can the 155 and 182 substitute for the 185.2 in the new extra services? Yeah,
and in fact, earlier on when we did the cement train, you notice the 155 that was parked over in the side of the road there is the train that would have delivered those in that particular instance. So you can use the 155, the 182, the 185.2, both versions of the 185.2. So you've got some variety in terms of that. And similarly, the computer will use them randomly as well. So if you are running a normal service like the Dosto services, remember all this stuff is running in the background. So you will see the shunting going on in the background. You will see the cement trains running up and down the main line. As if, as normal. So that's the thing with service mode, is all these things are happening all the time.
Okie doke. Good.
Right, so this is a bit different. This is shunting coaches and making passenger trains up. And so the idea behind these services is that these trains need to have some of the coaches removed, and in one case they need the cab car also changed, and they also need an extra train coach added. So one of them is repair and form, which is just swapping one coach, and the other one is repair and extend, so swap 2 coaches and extend an extra coach. Sometimes with the coaches you have to push to get them into to couple. I've got to uncouple there. Right, this is the reason I wanted to show these. Uncoupling these coaches is awkward. Because you're reaching effectively underneath them. There is a hotspot. You've just got to find it. Once you're used to finding it, you'll be alright. So, you notice under here, wiggling around, these if you wiggle around, you'll see it, and then you can see it's uncoupled. So get used to it just by practicing, and you'll find that you can uncouple them just fine. But the first couple of times, you'll probably find it a bit on the fiddly side. We tried to make it easier, but that was the best we could do. Right. Let's go back forwards again. Release the brakes. You'll be able to do most of the shunting work with this just using the loco brake. Until a couple of... so one of the...
Not if you try and brake quickly, you won't.
No.
Trust me.
Shouldn't be doing anything quickly in this, though, Sam.
It's fun to watch, though, from the external camera.
Yeah, when the wheels lock up, it is quite amusing. Probably even at this speed, it will lock up.
Is being able to uncouple the Dosto in the middle new, or could you always do it?
It's actually new. It was always there, but there was actually an invisible volume in the way blocking it for no apparently good reason. So yes, we have updated the Dostos to allow them to now be uncoupled to get rid of that obstruction. I think this is the first time we've done passenger coach shunting, certainly in Germany.
No, you've got a very small amount of the coach shuffling around on. You do it with the Gronk on what's it called?
Oh, Northern Trans Pen in the heavy freight pack. Oh, sorry, in West Somerset.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, of course, you're right.
Have we done any work on circular motion blur for this release? No. I don't even need to ask Matt that one. We'll make a fuss about it when we have.
Oh yeah.
But no, not yet.
Yeah, you need to be extra careful with this thing when you use it in low adhesion cases, because you'll find that you need to rely on the whole train brake to stop you much more, and the train brake is more difficult to use with any kind of precision because you're controlling the air on the entire train.
Right. You also do coach shuffling around, coach shunting duties on Peninsula Corridor in the MP15.
You do.
Anyone would think you've not played this before. You're supposed to have an encyclopedic knowledge.
I like to think I do, but I am also wrong.
Humano says, is it me or are there NTP trains missing? No, there aren't. There are BR heavy freight pack, heavy haul, heavy freight, whatever it's called. Heavy freight pack has not yet been released. So yes, while they work on NTP, it's because they're not out yet. And there's some on NEC as well, but we don't talk about NEC because it's no longer a part of the family. Rest in peace to the Amtrak SW1000R. Quite so. Are there any services or scenarios that go to the power plant? No, there aren't. What's this for a route? This is on Ruhr-Sieg Nord. This one?
I'll show you the map. We can see where we are. Because the thing is, a lot of these areas they're not parts of the route you'll have used before, so they're not necessarily familiar. It is going to feel a bit new. So this is Hagen Station down here, and this is the lower yard. That's the middle yard, and that's the top yard. In fact, I remember rightly, that thing's already gone. One of the freight trains you shunt is actually starts in this general area here. I think it's gone by this time.
Good. How come no power plant services? Because the power plant area doesn't have operational track.
It's
not in this game.
It was when I was trying to work out what the services would be. they didn't feel like they were right, which meant I probably didn't understand it very well, and I couldn't get any good answers for it. So I decided that rather than doing something bizarrely nonsense, I wouldn't do anything, and basically did more of other things instead.
When you take the shunter out onto the main line, are you supposed to take it out of shunting mode?
Yeah, if when you're shunting, you can put it on. You leave it on shunt mode. In fact, I think I've still got it on long distance at the moment. But yes, you get more torque out of the train, so it can pull more, but not go as fast in the shunt mode. If you put it in long distance, then yeah, you won't find it pulls quite as much, or at least quite as rapid acceleration when you're hauling something. But then you want to put it into that so you get the speed, because 60 kilometers now, you're still going to hold stuff up, but at least you can minimize how much you're holding stuff up.
We have our fourth request for the horn, please. Kirlak was asking, are we now done with preserved collection? We've got one more bit to go. That's right, isn't it? Just the BR Heavy Freight to go.
Just the BR Heavy Freight pack, yeah. Right.
Yep, BR Heavy Freight, and then we are done with preserved collection, and the next job is to then improve heavy collection, preserved heavy collection, heavily preserve everything. No, it's a dinky. I gave this a go a little bit earlier on. It's fun to drive. It's a good one. It reminds me very much of the Gronk, actually, with a lot more buttons. I mean, a heck of a lot more buttons. Do they still use this in Germany?
Yes. Yep, very much so.
How many of them are still in use? Come on.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Oh, Matt. Come on.
I know.
No.
There's a lot. They made a lot of these things.
What are the yellow lines on the wheels for on the 363? It's so you can tell which way's up.
It's to do with the tyres and making sure to see whether the tyres have slipped. So if the tyres had slipped, then obviously the lines wouldn't match up anymore, which suggests a fault.
There you go. Bet Jamie knows the answer. Yeah, I bet he does. Because Jamie does his homework. He goes to the Wikipedia and he looks up absolutely everything. And if Wikipedia lets him down, he's out there researching beforehand.
He does fantastic work, that man.
And he'd then often drop in a fact about either a Black 5 or some Swiss route afterwards as well. Yeah.
Right, just move these forward a bit.
Will you guys release Great Western Line, aka London Paddington, to Reading?
Today, yes.
Yeah, it's out. It's now. You go get it. There you are. You're welcome.
Just for you.
No, just for you. I just found it down the back of my chair. It's and I've slung it up onto on a PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam. Just now. There you go. While I was typing in the background. We will be able to change the height of the seats.
No.
Matt, when we do another one of these, put height of seat controllers in. People love that. They go bananas for height of seat. They don't care about anything else. It can be the wrong colour, it can have too many wheels. As long as you can change the height of the seat, everyone's happy. And is there a squeaky window? All windows should squeak a little bit. There should be a little.
No.
Yeah. Is this in the livery design?
Yes.
Awesome. Good.
It is. All new trains should be in the livery designer from now on. Yes, this
Gareth,
one is.
Strictly speaking, we don't need spinny seats because you do have a head like that of an owl where you can just turn it around through 360 degrees anyway. Alex, this doesn't have working toilets because there isn't a toilet on the real thing. We're not about to put, Portaloos on board shunters. That's not realistic. Alex, I already answered that question and it was very funny. You can stop it now. There are 400 of these still in use in Germany.
There you go.
Remaining others have not been modernised or sold to other railways in Europe, says Wolfgang. And I trust him because his name's Wolfgang.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of them. If you look around the this route, on Google Earth. You can see them dotted around. There's one actually sitting in. There's a siding just here. There's a siding here, and there's one just sitting in here. V60s is their other name.
Yeah. Can we do some action by standing in the second man position? It's not going to accomplish very much because we're just going to use the external camera anyway. Are there actual services that bring these passenger coaches in and out of service?
No, these passenger trains don't and go out into service. These ones do actually just stay in the yard afterwards. So no.
J4V, why do I have to pay for Great Western Express on PS4? You don't if you already own it. If you don't already own it, then in order to own it, you have to get your wallet out. But if you do already own it for Train Sim World 2020, stick your disc in, take your disc out, should do the job, if I understand correctly. If not, head over to the forums, there are more detailed instructions available. But if you already own it, you should just be able to claim it straight away. Can I walk to the Dosto via the gangway?
What?
Can you... Well, I mean, there's no door. So I would say probably not.
I'm confused. Expand on your question. Expand on it.
I think it was a question of if you were hooked up to the central section of a Dosto where you've got the door facing you, can you hop out via the gangway and hop in back through the door?
No. No.
That's a no. Any news on Preserve Collection being paintable? Ask these kinds of questions in the roadmap stream. You know it's on the roadmap. Ask it in the roadmap stream. There you go. We try and stay on topic, but friends, you've always got so many questions. We're always happy to answer them, but we do topic-based videos here. Streams, all that kind of stuff. So help us out. Do us a favour.
So there you go. Look, cement wagons. This is the train that will run over and deliver the cement wagons for what we did earlier on. And as you can see, the train that the computer has chosen to put 155 on the front of it. So yes, the answer to that question. This is be a service that you can take over and later on in the day run it round to the yard over there. Right. So the last one that I wanted to show was one of the 819 services. So not the 363. But a service in support of the 363, just so you can see where the other services are, because they're well worth having a look at. So under, again, if you just pick a loco, I'm just going to go with the 0185.2 to keep nice and easy, and we'll go with the 819 services, and we'll do Steel Train to Hagen. So Steel Train to Hagen happens after the steel train was delivered, taken away and put into the sidings.
You chose another service in the middle of the night, Matt.
Wait a minute.
Oh no, you haven't. Okay, beg your pardon.
So yeah, the steel wagons. This loco, which is sitting here on its own, came in earlier on in the day in the first of those 819 services and dropped off some steel wagons at Hohenlenberg down here. So in this here, they dropped off in this general area here, and then the shunter came in, did its business, and when it was finished, it made up a new train here. So that's what your job is, to moving wagons in and out of these sidings, and you eventually end up making a new train here. And then this 819 service, which is 81910, your job is to now go and get those and take them somewhere. So I just want to run this one for a bit, just so you can see, because this is a bit different, because you're running light engine, you've got to go and pick the wagons up and then take them somewhere. So can we see the 363 moving around, Alex? Yes. The 363 will function as AI, so if you drive at the right time where all the A363 services are running, you'll see the 363 busy doing its shunting, as if you were doing it. That's the whole point of the service mode. All the trains function all the time. You see it even using the RK900 as well. It stops in front, lowers the RK, and then pushes up and couples up.
For those of you who don't esports, if you already own Great Western on Train Sim World, you do not have to buy it again. It's saying it's 25 quid. Yes, because it doesn't recognise that you own it yet. So you need to go through the steps to make it recognise that you own it. If you head over to the forums, there are some instructions there of how to go about doing that. Yeah, it's free. If you've got it for Train Sim World, you also have it for Train Sim World too. Yeah, that's what we've always promised, and that's what's happened. Head over to the forums, and they'll help you out there.
Right. Oops. Slightly overshot.
Slightly overshot. That felt like ramming speed to me.
Grip it and rip it.
Dallas, it probably worked automatically because you owned it digitally. It's those who have it on disc that have got to jump through just a little bit more of a hoop. Marsha, are we going to add destination? Are we going to patch the ice destination bug on the Munich Augsburg line? I wasn't aware there was a bug on the destination boards.
On what? Sorry, what was the product?
On the ICE Munich Augsburg.
Yeah, what's the bug?
Don't know. Go post it on the forums.
Yes, please.
Take to the technical support for it. Post it up there, and we'll investigate it. Any news on improving memory usage on console? Yes, we put out an update just this week that does some optimization, which is why we were able to release this locomotive. Do we have more to do? Yes, we have more to do.
Yep, there's more going on.
If you want to know more about the future of Train Sim World and where it's going and what we're going to hook up and all of that kind of business, come along next Tuesday for the roadmap stream, where all questions are valid. Our preference when we're focusing on something new is to talk about that new thing. Next Tuesday, every 2 Tuesdays, once a fortnight, or every other Tuesday, there is a roadmap stream. Is there PS5 backward compatibility info? Try the roadmap stream on Tuesday. Actually, I'll give you a spoiler. No news at the moment. There we go. Right. Where are we going? What are we doing? Sorry, I've been paying attention to the chat.
We are on the way to Hohenlimburg to pick up our steel wagons. So what's different about this to normal is a bit of light engine mainline running, which we haven't done on this route before. In fact, I don't think it's been done on any of the German routes. So it's a bit of a different operation. So we're running light engine down to Hohenlimburg, where the train is waiting for us. We'll pick that up and then we run it back west again, up to Hagen.
Okay.
It's only about 5 kilometres away to get our wagon, so it's a bit of a run on the main line. So this one of the things the services on this pack do is they add a bit of different running, different styles of running as well. In and amongst what is already a relatively busy timetable on this one, so there's plenty of traffic. When you're shunting, you'll see there's tons of stuff going back up and down the main line. Some of which, in the case of the logging services, you'll be getting in the way of, and it'll be getting in the way of you, which is always great fun. It means red lights will happen. You will get held up, and then you've got services like these ones, which are they're pick up and drop off type services, but they give you more to do with the trains you've already got. Yes, there was light engine on MSB. Yes, Eddie, you're right. There was as the return runs from Heigenbruck and back down to Leifach. There was a bit of light engine there, but it's been quite rare. So we wanted to add some more in this because there was a good opportunity to get it in here. Speed up a bit more.
And as far as Xbox Game Pass is concerned, we won't announce that in advance. No, you'll know it's on Game Pass the day it comes out on Game Pass. See, because if we were to say, oh yeah, it's coming to a Game Pass in 18 months' time, nobody buys it. And that's not good business at all. So you might buy it the day before it hits Game Pass and go, oh no. Well, I'm afraid that's the gamble you have to take there. When the train is coupled, can you use the Roadrunner? Can you use Roadrunner? Am I being mocked here in the chat? Is there what's Roadrunner?
When the train's got you. This train doesn't have Roadrunner.
It doesn't have Roadrunner, so of course you can't, you clown.
Roadrunner is the train.
Ask such a question. I flipping just. What's Roadrunner?
It's the thing that goes meep meep after you. It then tells you how long when you've gone past a certain distance. So essentially, on the 182, let's say for example this signal that's coming up here. I want to know when the rear of my train has gone past that signal. As I go past it, you double bounce on the throttle, as in pushing the throttle in. You click on the throttle, and it starts counting based on how long the train is. And as soon as the rear of the train has marked that point where you've double bounced, it'll just sound like meep meep, and it's just called the Roadrunner because the real one actually uses the actual sound of the Roadrunner. But ours just says beep beep for obvious reasons.
Okay, all right, no, that's valid.
Does it have Acme comments?
Alex says there's more than €500 worth of Train Sim World DLC. You're welcome. There'll be more soon as well. And the way we see it, you probably don't want all of it. In fact, you probably just want the bits that interest you. In which case, the number is actually quite a bit lower than 500 because you don't need all of it. No, it's very much like it's rather like walking into Games Workshop or a model railway shop and kind of going, my goodness me, you've got so many different things. How am I supposed to afford it all? Well, you're not. I mean, you can if you want to, but you'd be nuts. No, just buy the bits you want, and that'll probably do you. What we're trying to do is give you choice, and as much choice as possible. Pete wants it all. Well, Pete, that's entirely up to you. If you're into it for a hobby, then go wild. But just you don't need all of it. You don't need it all.
Chat's telling me off for not using the loco brake, so I'll use the loco brake.
I mean, you can only drive one at a time. I mean, unless you're planning to invest a significant number of hours in mastering everything, you haven't got time to drive all of it anyway. So there you go. Yeah. Where are we now?
We're just actually at Home Limburg, so wagons are just in front of us. We know just that now gives us clearance to go and couple up.
What's the date for the Arosa line? Amax, I have seen you in the stream enough times that you know you're not going to get an answer. We're not going to tell you what the date for anything is until we know what the date for something is, and then we might hint at what the date is or even tell you. But until that time, we're not just going to volunteer it because you ask in the middle of a random stream. We'd make a bit more fuss about it than that. So my apologies, but we're not going to tell you what the date is because we don't know. It's not ready yet. Yeah. If your hobby's football, right, and this is soccer for those of you outside of Europe and the world, then you're not expected to buy every positional shirt from every team in every league in the world, and all of their footballs, and all of the season tickets to go to all of the games. That's the relationship you're looking at there. You spadded. We're doing I'm doing all the talking. All you have to do is drive the flipping train, and you spadded.
I know. Noob.
Dear. No, that's it. Put the cameras back on. We're done here. Unless there's anything else specifically you want to show off.
No. I think that was everything we were going to do. I intended to do that because that's the end of that. Really, it's that was completely intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was honestly.
you're a wreck of a man. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in today. We hope we've shown off everything you needed to see from the 363. It's available right now. A couple of service announcements before we go. Great Western Express is out today, as is Northern Transpennine as part of Preserved Collection. If your Great Western Express has not unlocked automatically, go to the forums. There are instructions on how to make it work. It should unlock straight away if you've got the digital version of it for Train Sim World or Train Sim World 2020. If you don't have the digital version, please visit the forums, which are forums.dovetailgames.com. And you will be able to find instructions for how to get your copy. You will do not pay for it again. If you pay for it again, I'll come round your house and I'll slap your wrist. So don't pay for it again. No, you've paid for it once. You're entitled to it.
Yes.
Crying out loud. There was another service message. The roadmap is your next. Is it your next stream? Are we doing one tomorrow night? I'm not on tomorrow night.
No, the next stream is tomorrow. That's myself and Jamie. We're going to be running the new Rivet game, Suburban Glasgow release on Train Simulator.
Fun. So we go north of the border tomorrow with Matt and Jamie.
I'm hyped. I've not seen it yet, but I am really hyped. I've seen lots of great screenshots.
You're not hyped.
I am hyped. I love it.
No, Americans get hyped.
Okay.
And you can tell because they get proper loud. When Americans are hyped, or dare I say it, pumped, they get properly loud. You're mildly enthusiastic, which, as a British gentleman, is about as enthusiastic as you're allowed to get.
I might make an extra cup of tea.
Mildly enthusiastic. Good, right. And then after that, you've got the roadmap stream next Tuesday. Store up all of your most taxing of questions, and we'll have a go at them. What was in the patch today? The patch notes are on the forums, perhaps unsurprisingly. We talk about the forums quite a lot because quite a lot happens there.
Yes.
You don't have to sign in to read it. There you go. Right, I'm done.
You're done. Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.